Right then, only fair if we go straight to the world of business, and no time to waste. I've got the editor of Business Insider SSA once again in the studio with me, talking about Rotus Oddiri. Welcome, bruv.
Thank you for having me. Good memory. Good memory.
Last week we had quite an interesting one with, as regards to South African Airways, but this week is totally very, very different. We'll start up with this proposition from the ECOWAS Single currency. We hear the regime is to be delayed again. According to reports, only Togo have made the convergence criteria for the ECOWAS Single currency. But,
yes.
This has been coming. It's not today we started this discussion, though.
Since the 70s, I believe. They came back again in 2000. They're supposed to be ready in 2013. The single currency, if you think about it, is supposed to make things easy. Imagine ECOWAS countries, you being able to visit Togo and using one currency to trade. You don't have to change your naira to dollars to be able to go to another ECOWAS country. So it's supposed to facilitate free trade, ease of travel and trade and so on and so forth. But it's not easy. If you look at what the Eurozone went through before they could actually get that together, even after the Eurozone was able to come together with their single currency, the euro, they had a number of issues. Greece pretty much flunked out as an economy, and they had a number of issues. So what's happening here is that in order for the ECOWAS single currency to work, you need the countries that are involved to have some kind of synergy. And there are a number of conditions that they've requested. So there were some primary and secondary conditions, one of which is that inflation has to be in single digits. This is for all the countries that are involved. Only Togo has met that. Nigeria, for example, inflation just went up to 11.6 because of the border closure and a number of things. So how do you get a single digit
Togo
inflation?
Used, the French,
That's another point. Might as well go to that. I was going to get to that. So you've got the Francophone countries, about 8 of them, that are tied to the franc, and so they've had a stable currency, lower interest rates, assisted by France. Are you now going to make them disentangle that so that they can become part of ECOWAS?
They've got really high, high numbers in terms of currency spend for expenditures and products, in other parts of West Africa like Nigeria and even Ghana. Okay, Ghana have the cedis, Nigeria's got the naira. It's the franc is clearly, West African franc is clearly widespread across West Africa.
Exactly.
Also, that's Togo. But how come Togo actually met this criteria?
Well, I mean, Togo. Look, you can fit Togo inside Lagos. So it's a small country, well run. As small as they are, whether you're big or small, you still have to run your economy properly. So they've done well as far as their conditions are concerned. They also have to have positive real interest rates. So, like for example, your treasury bill rates or bond rates have to be higher than inflation. That's for you to be positive. So in Nigeria, inflation is 11.6. T-bills are doing what? A 90-day T-bill, I think, is doing about 5 or 6%. So that's negative. 11 minus 5 is you're in the negative zone. So what else? Your budget deficit as a ratio to GDP shouldn't be more than 4%. So there's a number of conditions. And now it's not just one country. They all in the ECOWAS region have to be uniform, because once this comes into play, the countries in the respective countries lose their central bank independence. So the Central Bank of Nigeria, Central Bank of Togo, all those, they all have to now accede to. Look at, we have the European Central Bank for the Eurozone. One central bank that dictates monetary and fiscal policy. So, if you look at all those conditions, that's the reason why they haven't come together. They're saying they pushed this thing back. Like I said, 2013. They said 2019. They're saying 2020.
Yeah, and it's not going to be happening next year.
Until all the countries are uniform. Like, is Nigeria really going to lose its central bank independence with everything the central bank has been doing?
What's the strength of the naira compared to these other currencies right now?
The naira has been stable, right? It's been stable for about 2 years now, or even longer, 360. However, what has gone into play for it to be that stable? The central bank has been pumping lots of dollars into the system in order to keep the naira stable. So it's spending a lot of money. So you're not going to tell the Central Bank of Nigeria to let go of that independence and now free up its monetary and fiscal policy to a central ECOWAS central bank. It's going to be tough. And other countries in that region. And also the Francophone countries. That's another big one we haven't even gotten to yet. I don't think they'll want to let go of where things are now. Although it's been criticized, some of them want to disengage I think Ivory Coast also want to disengage from France.
Everything's still monetized by
exactly.
France, you know.
But then it's monetized, but still France is giving you stability. So there's that debate. So look, it's a huge project, and you know, again, Nigeria is what? 67% of ECOWAS is the largest one. So, you know, a lot is going to depend on what happens in Nigeria. There's the free trade issues. It's really complicated. So I don't see the 2020 thing. I personally don't see it happening.
Pipe dream, I suppose?
Yeah, as of right now, because, you know, again, you are now tied to the fortunes of another African country. So when Greece was facing its issues in the Eurozone, Greece couldn't print its own currency. When they had to, the European Central Bank was dictating that everything that happened with Greece. So Germany, which was also in the Eurozone, didn't want them to give some certain concessions to Greece because it would affect them. So now we're in a shared pool. Everybody's a neighbor now, central currency, so there's a lot of issues there. So before that one happens, the conditions have to be set.
Might take a cue from the Brits, right? And keep the pound.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep the naira. All right,
Exactly.
still we're looking more on the business stories that we're following. African governments, you know, really quick on the tax approach, really putting up oil investors as we recently, because the government's appetite for quick tax revenues from oil production is, as we say, really not looking good for the investors who want to come in. You know, it's a bit of a spread.
Yep.
The tax we're talking about here, they are required. They are statutory, if not mandatory.
They are. But you see, the thing is that African governments are changing the rules, I mean, we've had certain taxes that have been in place. If you're an oil producing nation, if a company wants to come in and explore, they're going to have to pay royalties and stuff. Look at Nigeria. November 4th, Nigeria made an amendment to its 1993 Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Act, which was supposed to add some more revenue streams for Nigeria to earn money from oil companies that are going to explore. So what they did is for example, if you're exploring for deep offshore exploration, for any depth that is more than 200 meters, there's like a 10% royalty they put on there. And they put another 7.5% royalty on, I think, swamplands and inland regions. So essentially, Nigeria's like, look, if we've amended this act from 1993, if you want to explore oil, there's going to be more money that has to be paid in taxes. That's Nigeria. Uganda had a deal where Total wanted to buy in to oil fields that were owned by a company called Tullow Oil Incorporated or so.
Chinese?
This is actually, there's a Chinese company that wanted to buy in addition to Total, which is French. But Tullow was a company that discovered, I can't remember if Tullow is Chinese or not, but Tullow has been in Uganda. They discovered oil there in like 2006. They've been wanting to create a pipeline that was going to go from Uganda to Tanzania and export. But the deal fell through because of the tax implications. Uganda wanted to impose more taxes on the exploration, so it fell apart. So as of right now, people that were supposed to get jobs to do the project have been dismissed. There's been they still have to do more negotiation. So the story is, if you look at Nigeria, you look at Uganda, you look at other oil regions, the African countries, they are resource strapped right now. If you're a resource economy,
is it a case of the governments, you know, desperately trying to milk as much as they can, you know, from these companies? But how do they balance, you know, looking to get that revenue, but importantly, keeping investors happy?
That's the point. See, and that's a very good question. You need more money, and you're trying to get it, but from these companies. But then you don't have the expertise to explore the oil. You need those companies to do that. So the balance is in restraining, you know, the amount of new taxes that you're imposing on these companies in order not to discourage investment coming in. It's a tough balance because when you're a resource-based economy, you need money from this resource. But one of the answers is to diversify. If you diversify revenue and look at renewable energy and look elsewhere, you won't have that much pressure that you're putting to raise revenues from the oil, for taxes from the oil fields.
We know that the Africa Energy Outlook 2020 report says that, you know, such hostile environments, you know, will really diminish the interest in foreign investors, particularly the Chinese oil firms looking to invest about $15 billion in the sector in the next 4 years. That's a lot of money that, you know, even, you know, many governments are not going to turn a blind eye to.
Look, $15 billion. Nigeria's budget, for example, is 25 billion. So that's just 10 billion away from our entire budget. So it's a huge amount of money. And so the Chinese are not just in oil and gas, you know, in infrastructure, rail, they've been doing a lot of things. That big Beltway project that they have is going to run through some African countries. So again, the governments have to tread carefully, make sure that they do not scare away these investors because they need the money that's coming in, you know, as far as this investment is concerned. But it's a delicate balancing act for them as far as this is concerned.
All right, more news this time in the world of business. We've got Rotus Oddiri right here, really breaking it down. Let's talk about Jumia, because it's another one again. This time they're suspending delivery services in the East African country of Rwanda.
Yes,
and it's not the first time we're hearing, Jumia in certain parts of Africa, just basically calling it a wrap over there. Still booming in countries like Nigeria and other regions in West Africa. But the online retailer said it will suspend its food and drinks delivery services in Rwanda as effective of December 9th. So it's already happened already.
Correct, yeah. They've been facing challenges. They were once called the Amazon of Africa, but the difference is that Amazon is doing its business in the United States, where people have more disposable incomes. E-commerce channels with the internet, broadband, and so on are more fluid, and ease of doing business is much easier there than it is here. So it was a daunting task for them. Their initial strategy was a full court press. I mean, they were everywhere, and well, it's in 16, 17 African countries. Now I think they've scaled down to 12. Closed down in Rwanda, closed down in Tanzania, closed down, I believe, in Cameroon. I think Kenya, they just made an announcement that they laid off some workers. So what it is that, what they've said is that, look, we've had to go to this, the drawing board and re-strategize, because some of these ventures are not as profitable as we thought that they were. So that's why you see them scaling back.
How come so strong in this part of
Africa?
Africa?
Well, for one, you look at who are the people who are making these purchases. So if you look at Jumia's activities in Nigeria, you'll probably see that the majority of it comes from Lagos and I believe Abuja. So really, it's like and then maybe Port Harcourt, all these other states. So it's where
like it's enough to really scale the markets.
Yeah, I mean, you still need for internet penetration to spread around the country. You need for people have to be the big boys like you now. They have to be able to order these things online.
A company I think it listed publicly in the New York stock not so long ago. So on the front page, you're looking good.
See that thing. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that. When the stock was when the IPO initial public offering happened in New York. At around in May, the stock got to $46. As of Friday, Ulysses, that stock is trading at $5. So there have been some issues. Jumia has been facing the heat, not only in New York. So this is the reason why, in order to keep shareholders, at least the shareholders they have there, they have to now re-strategize and scale back on e-commerce activities in Africa. Because it's still tough with, people return goods or even they'll place an order for a good and not pay for it when it arrives. The company now has to eat that cost of having to deliver something to you. The roads are tough. The dispatch people that make deliveries sometimes are stopped by touts and police. It's not easy doing e-commerce here. So, and just in other cases, just not enough people are ordering the items that they're selling. So it's a long-term strategy. E-commerce in Africa will actually improve over time. Internet penetration, more people making money. But for now, they're still in Africa. Jumia is still here, still doing its thing, but it's just, we might see more of these announcements down the line. We'll have to just see how things go.
Not the best of times to be closing up in Rwanda. Christmas orders and all of that. But before we go, some of the stories that we're looking to track this week.
Look, the loan deposit ratio in Nigeria, the IMF came out saying, hey, look, are you sure? So what happens is the central bank said that they were going to increase, they wanted to try and push banks in Nigeria to loan to more businesses and individuals. They increased their loan deposit ratio, I believe, in July to 60%. By October was the deadline. Then that came in October again, told banks that loan deposit ratio, so your loans to your deposits have to go up. You have to put out more loans as a percentage of your deposits. They increased it from 65% to 60 to 65% by December. And now there's a rumor going around that the CBN might increase it to 70%. So what the IMF came out and said, and a number of economists and analysts, is that if you keep forcing banks to increase loans to folks, you might actually push up your non-performing loans, right? Which is the loans might go bad because it's a struggling economy. We're still not quite there yet.
Is this a sign of a burst coming with this one? And how far are we from it? So
here's the thing. In the last 3 months, this third quarter, loans increased by about 1.1 trillion naira. It was big. So it looks good right now. But the thing is, when it's time to pay those loans back, is where that burst might happen. So you might see that, first quarter, second quarter of next year. But still, for now, things are fine. It's just a warning that, hey, look, Central Bank of Nigeria, please take it easy as you push these banks to force loans. Because look, Banks are in the business of loaning money.
Yeah.
If the
and
economy is
banks,
good,
businesses, and quick, easy, fast loans,
exactly.
mobile services.
Exactly. So it's something that we have to watch as far as.
All right. Before we go, we know it's next time we'll see you to be Christmas week.
Yes.
So we'll be looking to know what the sales are going, the big stores,
exactly. Retail.
Yeah, Black Friday is over, so we're into the Christmas rush of buying and selling.
Exactly.
Looking to see who is doing what and how on the market come Monday. So we'll catch you. Look into that one.
Thank you.